Well, no, we don't have regulations, and so they just
Okay,
developed something without any input from us. They did have, because I think they're within the 3 miles, they did have to get planning commission approval with the city, but I don't think they were concerned about our long-term fiscal responsibilities. So
okay. All right, I was just curious.
No,
Thank
let's,
you.
no, thank you.
All right, it is.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay. Scott.
Thanks, Joe.
Okay, so it's 10 o'clock. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Atchison County Commission meeting for Tuesday, September 10th. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Anybody for invocation today? No. No? Okay, so if you'd please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public comment. Got any public comment? Okay, seeing none, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from Tuesday, September 3rd?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. All right, Commissioner comments. Commissioner Rivas,
I don't have any right now.
Commissioner Noel.
I had a NEK multi-county health meeting last night in Bolton. They're kind of seeing some tough times too with the economy, and the people now are signing up for the, what do you call the plans, the advantage plans now with their insurance. And then when they need home health and hospice, it doesn't get covered. And I've had a reoccurring theme with anything to do with medical services, are seeing the hospital, NEK, multi-county health, area agency on aging that provides services are having a horrible time. They can't collect for anything because these new advantage plans do not cover those services. So I was actually gonna look into maybe seeing if we could kind of go together. And I'd like your input sometime too on maybe all of these entities in the county, maybe having some kind of meeting to educate the public on what's available and how things that they don't think of at the time of when they sign up for their plans, how that can come back to haunt them because they don't think of home health or hospice or those type of situations. And every time I talk to any medical provider in any way, they're saying they're not, it's horrible. And so
There is no advantage to an advantage plan. That's bottom line.
Well, only-
yeah, it's tough.
unless if you're perfectly healthy, it's fine, you're fine. But as soon as you need those services, they're not there. So I want to make the public aware as much as possible, because I know it's tempting to go with the, oh, I don't have to pay a thing because you're healthy at the time you sign the paper, but you really need to be researching these advantage plans.
Yeah.
Mm.
So I did feel good.
No, I've just seen physicians from Amberwell have been pretty boisterous about that on social media. So maybe collaboration between the health department and the community health clinic in Amberwell to do something like that, because people don't know, right?
They don't know they're gonna need that service.
Yeah.
You don't, that's not something that's in your wheelhouse of thinking, and until you need it, and then if you're already signed up for that, you have to wait that full calendar year until that clicks before you can go back. And go back to another plan that will help with that. But in the meantime, they got sticker shock. It's kind of like the taxes. All of a sudden you're hit with something more than what you anticipated. It's like, where's that going to come from? So I think it's something that I want the public to be aware of. I'm going to start looking into seeing if there's something we can do, because I think I had a call from the same person from this involved on the Amberwell board. I was talking with her about it this morning. She said, oh yes, there's definitely a need for some kind of unified education on that. So
Meanwhile, every ad on TV is for his plans. So
Yeah.
it's tough. Well, and I understand the decision tree. So if I'm in an employer-sponsored healthcare plan and they pay my insurance, maybe I pay $100 or something. And then I retire and I go on the Medicare, well, if I do a supplemental plan, it's this much. If I do an advantage plan, it's that much. But it's virtually a PPO network that's gonna basically limit what you get.
Yeah,
I mean, so the dollars are cheaper, but your service is not. So it's tough.
so I think there's a need there.
I said I did forget something. Can I mention something?
Sure.
Maybe you're gonna give to me United Way Friday.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Good
So
call.
this Friday is United Way's the leadership breakfast. And so anyone out there, if you want to go to that, it's gonna be Mr. Kendrick from the Negro League's baseball museum is gonna be there, and it should be a great program, and it's a good kickoff. It's like at 7:30, I think. I think is when it starts. So at the
I've
event
got it
center.
written down at 7:30.
Yeah, so I think there'll be room at some tables, I'm sure it usually is. So there's always some people who sleep in. But I'd encourage you to be there.
So I just wanted to thank everyone that came to our R&R and budget hearing last week. We had a room full of people with concerns and questions, and it was very good to see people care and turn out to ask the questions. After that meeting, a mandatory department head meeting was called for this morning from 9 to 10, and we had every single one of our appointed and elected department heads show up, and good conversation. No cuts have been identified other than the nonprofit. If we cut our nonprofits as requested at our hearing last week, you're looking at a little over $275,000. So that is something on the table. We will be making our final decisions by next Tuesday, September 17th, so that we're in compliance with all of our publishing deadlines.
I'd like to add, there was another identified possible, and that is using the 407,000 that's of ARPA money that's been identified to start road and bridge facility. I don't think that that's not budgeted any which way, shape, or form for the near future, and I think that we should be able to look into using that to offset this or next year's budget. So that is a possible savings.
It's still by the line.
Yes, I am for procuring the land. I think it's not if we build something will be when, but we have got a tax emergency right now, and I don't believe we'll be able to afford it. So why start down that road if we have no way of funding it? And it would just be more expensive to upkeep the fenced in ground, and won't be any income off of it because you can't farm it anymore. So I think that would be a possible way to go.
Okay, a couple other comments. I had reached out to Dr. Epley, and he's going to help draft a sales tax proposal for legislature consideration in January. So after our hearing, there was discussion of looking at a proposed sales tax for EMS to help with revenues. So we will be working on that and giving some more information of how that can help us in the future. Also, it was stated again that the county is sitting on excess cash. And I just want that to be clarified. Our treasurer and our finance director have both expressed that we are not sitting on excess cash, but I reached out to our auditor as well, just for a third party clarification on that. And she expressed when she performed our audit that our cash balances were fairly low for our county. So that is those are all my comments after our budget hearing from last week. So,
And I will defend my comments to say that we were sitting on a lot of cash. When you have sale of Senior Village, we have 897, we had ARPA money. We had looked into, when we were talking about the road and bridge facility, looked into a USDA loan. We were not qualified to get one because we had too much cash. So my statements of saying that we were sitting on a lot of cash, I think have some merit.
And I agree with you. Yeah,
Thank you.
that doesn't mean we should spend it all, but
Correct.
we're definitely sitting on a lot of cash.
Okay, new business, Katie, Catherine Ellerman, or sorry, Catherine Sparks. That's what I get for knowing you for many years. Community Corrections Director has some new business for us.
So I just have to get a carryover budget approved. I sent an email to you guys kind of explaining the carryover budget, and that's where it's not our grant funding, it is funding that we collect from bond services, contracted UAs, things along that nature. Every year we have to submit a budget on how we could potentially use that fund to the state, and they factor that in to our overall workbook. So I just need to have signatures on that, and I didn't know if you guys have any questions about how I budgeted that out.
Is this about the same amount as last year, the previous years? Is it pretty similar?
It grows a little over time, but yeah, we were able to grow it previously quite a bit, but we have a contract with parole that we let them rent out some of the space that we have.
Right.
And at first KDOC allowed us to just put that money in our carryover budget and pay our rent through our grant. They've came back in the last year and said, no, the money parole gives you should go towards that, and then the rest of it go towards the grant. If that makes sense, how I said
Okay.
that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't grow as much as it once did, but it does still grow.
All right, so I have a juvenile and an adult
Yes.
and the chair's signature. So I would look for a motion to allow the chair to certify that my signature below is for the Board of County Commissioners, that we have reviewed the attached fiscal year 2025 carryover reimbursements plan for accuracy and compliance with applicable Kansas statutes, regulations, and KDOC standards and financial guidelines, and approve it. I have a motion to allow me to
So
sign.
moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
Maybe we should make a clarification point here that this is all state grant funding that we just have oversight on, correct? Is it?
The carryover budget is not the state grant funding. It is the, like, so anybody assigned to probation has a fee that they have to pay, a supervision fee that they have to pay, and then anybody assigned to bond has a supervision fee they have to pay. So it's funding collected from the client.
It's not tax dollars.
Correct.
That's my
No.
point.
Yes.
That's where I was
Yes.
going, yeah, so.
Yeah, that is very correct.
So I look for a motion on the same form, only for the adult, to allow the chair to sign, and my signature below represents the Board of County Commissioners have reviewed and be attached fiscal year 2025 carryover reimbursements plan for accuracy and compliance with the applicable Kansas statutes, regulations, and KDOC standards and financial guidelines, and we approve it. Do I have a motion to approve?
Also moved.
Say it.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, you have more new business. I have two purchase orders for IT.
Sorry, that forget.
Oh, three.
I didn't get this one.
Nope,
I
you're
had
fine.
to reprint one of them.
Okay, so the first one is for $7,127.30 for the Cisco SmartNet renewal. That comes out of IT's budget and is paid to Converge One. Do you want to explain that
So,
one?
SmartNet is our maintenance plan with Cisco. So if one of our network switches or anything like that were to break, they'll be out, like, I think it's a 4-hour window for them to triage and then ship us out a new one. So we should have a new device within 24 hours if it breaks for those devices that are covered.
And this is what happened last time when that switch went out.
Yeah.
Okay.
About 18 months ago or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this happened, and then they came and got us fixed up and back
And
on.
actually, just when there was two switches, we didn't one go out and then something else went out or?
We had, I think in total, we had 3 core switches die.
Yeah, I remember it was sequential.
Yeah.
So,
Very unusual. And this is out of your budgeted 2024 funds.
Do I have a motion to approve as presented by our IT director?
Also move.
Yeah, second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. You have a pen? The next one is a purchase order for IT to Converge One in the amount of $4,160 for the Veeam optimization services. Estimated 20 hours and do not exceed $4,160. Do you want to tell us about that?
so, BMO, so we have, our backup environment, and I'm wanting them to go over and review that with me so that I can make sure that we are protected when it comes to like a ransomware attack. They become more and more prolific, and the state has been hammering away that make sure your environment is secured in such a way that if you were to get ransomware, you have a backup plan. You have some way to recover, even if everything is on your network is taken, you can take your backup repository and recover everything without having to pay a ransomware fee.
Do I have a motion to approve as per the IT's
So
explanation?
moved.
No second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
That's a bill we don't want to have to pay, right?
No,
That's
And that, I mean, everything you read,
ransomware, ransom.
it's.
those costs just keep on, you don't realize how expensive it is until it happens. And
That and what damage it does when people are trying to
and
do business, run the county, all the things.
right.
Okay, and then I have a third purchase order from IT to Converge One for $5,790. This is for a DD 6400 configuration and integration, estimated 28 hours, do not exceed 5,790.
So this is from those 2 backup repositories that we purchased with ARPA money. I didn't account for the installation of that. I would say that I could do it, but this is part of that backup part where I want to make sure that it's installed correctly.
So this is just a one-time installation and we won't have this
Right.
again next year.
Mm-mm.
Okay, and this is in your budget.
Mhm.
Okay, so I look for a motion to approve the purchase order as presented by our IT director.
What's total?
$5,790.
So the installation?
And
Wow.
it's an estimated hourly cost for them. I don't expect them to go over, like, I don't expect them, I think 28 hours is high, so I expect to be under that.
Okay, so
This is the worst case scenario.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 be sure to let us know how it turns out. Yeah.
We'll do. Once I get the invoice from them after all their tech time, I'll be sure to share that with you guys.
And I don't know, do you have anything else, Scott? Anything else? I was gonna talk about my question I posed to you the other day. I brought up, if you have a minute, asked about the feedback I've had from our meeting the other night and plus previous meetings. Is that people can't see who's in the audience. So I just asked, can we have a second camera? Or how does that all work? You know?
That's it. I've heard that too.
And not that we have to do it right away, it's your all's decision down the road, but he mentioned we could do a second camera, but there's we already have an older computer. You might just talk about it or.
Sure. So the commissioner computer or the camera computer that we have over there now, I think it was a handy down from the EOC when that was redone in 2020. And I think that computer over there is from 2016. For me to add a second camera and add the ability for it to stream two cameras at once, I don't think that would be up to the task. So we'd have to, I can pull one from our spare fleet or like one of our retired computers that reasonably new and throw a graphics card in there to see if we can get that to work to stream two cameras at once.
I think as much of that as that is important is a sound system or because I think when we have a meeting like that, we really need to have a podium, have people come up. And when they were in the back of the room, I could barely hear a lot of them. And I don't have good hearing, but even in the meeting this morning, people in the back row, it was very difficult for me to hear. So
If we'd like to explore that, I can certainly get a meeting set up and see what we can do for like an amplification system and then cameras and whatnot and a podium. We already do have an extra mic that we can use for a podium.
Or even if you make the speakers come up here, because when you watch our video, it's good, it's loud.
Yes.
We're
can you hear the
sometimes
people
really
in the back?
loud.
Can you hear the people in the back row when they talk on the meetings, on the recordings?
On the recordings, yes.
You can hear
And
I can,
yeah,
sometimes I have to kind of, I mean, once if their soft voice is loud.
well, and even at the end of our hearing, when those gentlemen were visiting back there,
Mhm.
like it was overpowering this from us sitting right here. So this
Yes.
is good. This is very good. I think it's just bringing the speakers up here would be helpful,
Mhm.
probably.
So anyway, the
Okay.
cost didn't sound too crazy, but I thought was, this is a question I had
Good
because.
point.
Especially if we have refurbished things already that we can swap out to make things better.
Yeah, I think the total cost that I was estimating was 700 to 1,000 because the camera's about 500 and then a graphics card to run it all is 200-ish. So
And you had, in the 2024 budget, weren't we on the schedule for replacements even though we don't need them? So maybe,
You can use
I mean-
commissioner budget for that, yeah.
You're talking about our.
so it's not in there.
okay, I was just, because we came up, was that what we were gonna come up for 2025?
Yes.
Okay, so we took it out. Okay,
We took it
perfect.
out.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So I have one more thing to add for Road and Bridge. It's an Atchison County right-of-way permit application. And this is for Kansas Gas Service at 17236 286 Road. There's an abandoned gas service. We'll need traffic control. Work location will be at the top of the hill. Traffic control services is Kansas Gas Contractor for traffic control. We'll need to shut down one lane for 1 to 2 hours.
I didn't look up that address, about where is that out there?
I can look it up. I have it. 7236. Oh, that's just coming out of Atchison.
Okay, it's pretty close.
Yeah, right past Heritage Tractor, maybe one residence. It's,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's,
Is it on the south side? I seen.
Yeah,
that
it's on the
they've just
south side.
They've already dug there, I believe. I saw it.
I saw that. I know where you're talking. Yes, okay. Okay, I got it.
Isn't it right west of that trailer on the
Yeah,
north
I
side
was
that had
thinking it
the
was way up
horses and
somewhere.
stuff? in
Yeah,
there?
that's right there, yeah.
yeah, just south of Crosslands on the east boundary.
I moved it past that.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. Okay, thank you. All right, next on the list is the GIS printer purchase order approval. Thank you for your patience. Sorry, there are a lot of add-ons this morning.
Well, maybe something that you want to invite the registered deeds down to. They are online.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if they wanna. They had originally said that, back when we started this conversation a week or so ago, they had indicated they would be able to pay 50% out of their registered deed tech fund. But they were worried with any discussion of reducing their budget, they may not be able to fund that at 50%, as they would need it for other things in their office, so.
Well, look at the Register of Deeds office is one of those where I don't think there's a lot of room for reduction there. I
They're
mean, it's
kinda
pretty limited. So.
I'm
Great.
gonna find you.
Money.
Thanks for coming down. So this is for an upgrade or a replacement of the GIS printer.
Well, is the one broke, is what Blair's starting to get a little nervous about her money for next
Right,
year.
right. And it's
And
not
with
broke at the
everything,
moment,
so-
and that's what I was gonna bring up is, do we wanna just hold off on it until something physically happens to it and then look at it at that time?
Well, Roger said last week it needs a couple $1,000s in repairs now.
That's just because
To be able to print.
one part of it, like the Magneta is broken, but grayscale prints just fine.
Oh, no, so Grace
Yeah.
does print.
There he is.
Okay.
Just in case you. Explain again, the status of the printer. As far as it does have some repairs necessary or.
We've got a bad print head on it right now. They build certain things into printers that just go bad every once in a while, and you're gonna have to replace them. We just had last week, print head go out. It's $500 item. And we know we're gonna need new cartridges to get it going again. Ink is not cheap in those things, but then we don't go through them very often. So we've probably got $1,500 to $2,000 worth of stuff that we need to do to it to get it up and running again. The scanning side still works on it. We just don't print as much these days.
So it's still working.
At the moment, the printer does, the black cartridge is working. The colors don't work on it because the print head won't deliver those colors to the paper. There's again, I'm not trying to be very technical on it. I don't understand all the pieces other than what they have is they have ink cartridges and then they have a print head which delivers those to the paper.
And this is for the plotter printer, correct?
Yes, it's a printer scanner all in one. I mean, scans big sheets. It's 36 inches wide. It can take a continuous feed and it can print a continuous feed.
But that's what we're calling the plotter, right?
That's it.
Okay, so can we get by with the black and white until the end of the year? Cause in our 2025 budget, we have 1,500 budgeted for ink cartridges for plotter.
But how much is the print head that needs fixed? Because
The print head is it's between $400 and $500. We probably ought to, we can get by without the extra cartridge. It would be nice. We are going to want to replace the print head. Yeah. If we replace the printer head, we'll have it up and running again.
that sounds like an easier fix than buying a whole new.
Well, the other thing we talked about was using, if we get the new one, use that one to do all these scanning of the other documents. So it can still be utilized. That'll probably burn it out eventually. I mean.
Yes. Now, we wouldn't even need the print head if all we're going to do is scan. Because the print head is to deliver ink to the paper and when we're scanning, we're not doing any ink. All we're doing is putting it in electronically. So
To Casey's point, if we can purchase this in January or February and get by for now. That might be better budget wise.
I agree with that.
We can do what, yeah, I don't think any of that's impractical.
That's not too far away.
No, we can say, all we're gonna have is black and white prints. I mean, most of what we print anyway. Black and white works fine.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
We have to revisit that again, imagine.
What that,
You probably get a new price, I'll imagine.
I don't know, if, you know what, if they. We could ask, they may reserve price, it's a state bid, so.
Oh, it's the same.
It was a state bid, so it may not be good after the first of the year. Unless we place the order before the first of the year. So that's a thought.
So you can place the order in December, we could pay for it in January, and that would be a problem.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's
I would
on the
think-
December agenda, maybe
Yeah,
Are we suggesting that?
that's
that
a
makes
possible
sense.
solution. I mean,
Lock in the price that way, because there will be a price increase almost.
There will be nothing's been going down,
Right.
you know, I think that sounds strategy.
so. The idea is that what he has done is he's given us the state bid price. And so that's one of those things that they can supply at that price without having to bid.
And they install it and everything.
Yes,
Yeah. Will you need any upgrades to the computers that are connected to that?
that's the ones we use are the ones, so.
It's all good.
Yeah, so Scott is working with that stuff anyways.
Yeah. Make sure you talk to each other, right?
They do.
So are you proposing to replace it then? Is that what you're saying?
I think what they've suggested is.
Okay, I thought,
That
no,
we just,
what
that
you
we
guys
get
were
by,
talking
we
about.
skimp by with what we've got, and then we replace the printer. Scanner. At the first, right after the first of the year, is that?
Yeah.
And how much was that? How much was 14,000?
13,
Yeah. Where it's half
uh,
from needs and half from.
13,190, or,
Yeah.
yeah, $13,190.
Was that half ARPA money too? So we'll make the decision to spend it in December, that'll take care of it.
Yeah.
Okay,
As long as we have that signed off on, yeah.
so we actually make that decision in December, actually pay for it in January, which puts it in the next budget year.
I thought we just made the decision to just upgrade the print head.
I thought that's what you were pricing the parts and locking in the
Right.
part price. In December. Not the cost of the whole printer.
No, I'm at the printer.
Right.
Okay. Just.
We've got sidetracked.
So it's ARPA money and it's tech fund money, so I didn't feel like that was as big an issue with.
I'm not for sure those two girls are in favor of that tech fund now.
No,
From
Well,
what
they
I
wanted to
understand.
put the budget that happens first, as long as we don't cut their budget, we should have stuck around, yeah.
Well,
Maybe they can come back.
But if we don't need one and it's working fine and we can replace the print head for $400 to $500. And we already have budgeted in 2025 ink cartridges for plotter for 1,500, so we should be fine. Without spending 13,000, right?
Well.
I think I'd go with that.
Okay, yeah, I'll yield to you guys on this, it's like,
I somehow we got crossed.
Yeah.
Crossed, and I thought we were talking about the
Right.
replacement parts, lock in the price for the
Sure.
replacement parts, not for the whole printer.
right.
And I believe that's what the other ladies were anticipating too, so.
and Roger, what's the probably anticipated life of that printer plotter? It's probably, I'm assuming it's probably out of date now, but.
It's 6 years old. It might last another 2-3 years. I mean, anytime you get computer equipment up in the 8, 9, 10 year. Yeah, time frame, you're starting to reach obsolescence. I mean,
Right.
So we
Okay.
get a couple years out of it, that'd be great, if we could do that.
Right, we have Mark Siltner, Finance Director, 2024 Budget Outlook.
Okay, so I sent you guys, all of our different
Thank you.
departments, what their 2024 expense budget is. Where they're at right now, that brings you through, the September report, so I guess if you wanted to plan on, it's kind of, an 8-month. Where we're at, take you through August. Sorry, the appropriations have been paid out, so all of those are okay. And they are reflected in this report. So you just break it down by each department. There are gonna be some departments that have carryover. There's gonna be some that probably do not.
I did catch one thing on the clerks.
Yep.
Budget, supplies and. I know it should have been the election stuff maybe or something. Okay, down here. Office supplies and printing was. Looks like way over budget.
So, right, that is the R&R notices. So we pay for those and then we get reimbursed
Oh,
by the
so we
state.
haven't been paid back yet.
So we have not. been paid back
Okay,
yet.
all right.
And we didn't have to pay for them for the second time, right? For 409's reprint, did we have to pay for that?
We did pay for the reprint.
Now, why do we have to pay for that? Cause it was told to me it was a software glitch. That it wasn't our fault, like it was a software malfunction, so. If that was the case, we shouldn't pay for it.
Yeah,
We-
no, we paid the company that.
But
For the reprint.
is that reimbursed? That's,
So,
Well, I sent everything to the state to be reimbursed, so
Okay, we'll find out.
oh, a
They-
second print you sent to the state for reimbursement?
I sent the receipts that I had been given, so I sent those to the state. Along with the receipts, so
So was it our software or
I don't.
a
I don't
third
know.
party software?
I don't.
Because I would hold them to the fire to say, if you screwed it up, you're paying for the reprint, we're not.
Yeah, yeah.
I can find out.
Okay.
Or was it the state's fault? I just don't know who does what on that process.
Well, that's just what I was told from the superintendent, it was a software issue, that's why they were sent out
Yeah, I had
incorrectly.
heard that, yeah.
So if it was their issue, then they should pay for the reprint.
So as far as percent used, if we're around 75% right now, that'd be kind of on track for the year.
Yep, correct. The county attorney. Reached out to me and asked if I could, do some sort of projection with her. So we got our heads together, we went over the numbers because she is gonna have carryover. She has a position that hasn't been filled for the entire year. And that's salary and benefits, so she's gonna have a chunk. That's left over, so you guys might wanna have a conversation with her about what to do with that. Being elected, it'll go into an elected reserve. And she's always been willing to work with you guys on any leftover money. On what you wanna do with it in the next year.
So can we put that in reserve, yet can our budget be reduced
It could,
a little bit there?
if she agrees. to
Knowing
that,
we had a
yeah.
reserve there, yeah. What's that number?
I'd probably say no more than 75.
Okay,
It may be less than that, just because she is. Gonna contract out some of those attorneys, so she may. Be over in another line item. To pay for it, like under her contractual services, maybe over in the red, but then the other would be in the black,
so if we, with a number like 50, that's
Yeah.
pretty safe.
yeah, or 60, I'd say.
60 is okay.
The other one in this budget that could pose some. Issue is. EMS, they have. Some overtime. Which is on page
Yeah, help me out there.
27.
What is it?
27?
It just depends on. The holidays that's coming up with Thanksgiving, Christmas. They look to be okay now, but about this time last year, it was starting to get. More heavy with call volume and people taking vacation and time off and sick, and so. Just people covering more shifts and things like that, so it's okay now, but it could as we get closer.
When you get a chance, can you look back to last year at the same time with where they were at on
Yeah.
personnel?
I can do that.
Because that'd be nice to know what the trend is.
If that's just a natural trend to be
Yeah.
before before exceeding last year or under last
71% now, which is a little under 75, but not a lot. I think much over time, that in that area to go over that,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
But when I went through this, everyone seemed to be that 75% mark or below. Other than that, you can let me know if you want to schedule anybody to visit about overage
No.
for next year.
Well, I'm looking at EMS and he's quite a bit below what was allowed for some supplies. But I wonder if he has some purchases that are planned yet this last quarter that typically. I want to ask Corey where he's at on. Because we did some things with ARPA money that I think maybe been budgeted. In his regular budget, so that may have made a difference.
And which line item are you?
Rescue supplies was one. He's only at 42% there,
No,
and
yeah, I think that's okay. Just a little under.
it's not big numbers, but I mean. There's several things that are below the 75% level, so I just don't know if it's something that's typically in the fourth quarter.
Well, and a lot of things happen in the fourth quarter too.
That's what I'm thinking. It's also a little different this year with the trying to figure rescue and
Yes, EMS both.
EMS, yeah, so.
I can't remember on noxious weed,
Mhm.
Dave used 47%. But do they buy a lot of chemical in December and hold that over? I mean, seems like it's pretty good.
I think you're right. It seems like.
It seemed like there's a late expenditure on
Yeah,
that.
and I remember Joe, last time I had a meeting out there, Joe and Emily were talking about they didn't need to buy as much either. Because
Okay,
they
so there
had
could
some.
be some carryover there.
Right. And that's its own levy, so
Right.
that's totally fine.
Oh,
That
yeah,
wouldn't affect
yeah,
the
yeah.
general, but
Which page is that on?
That.
it's 39 of the entire document.
I didn't have a page number.
Way down in the right corner.
Yeah, it's just page 1 of 3. Because
Oh,
I have to run them
great.
individually. I have to run the levies
Oh, okay,
individually.
so keep going. Yeah, I got you. I'm getting there. Okay. You get to like 36 and then it goes 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
So on the personnel side, because that's its own mill and it's got, I want to say lots of money, but it's got plenty of money in it. Is there, I mean, what all do we have in the personnel? Do we allocate part of Emily's salary
Yes.
towards that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is part of Joe's allocated there?
No.
I mean, I'm just wondering if there's probably an argument to have.
Yeah.
To do
there
that.
could be.
And plus there are other guys who actually do it, so.
Mhm. They go out there
Yeah.
and mow and
And I don't know what that percentage is, but it's 10% or 15%, but that may be one way to allocate the salary over there and then put would do a little more breathing room on his side.
It is, your overall mill won't change,
No,
but
but the funding's there
Yeah.
for that reason. That's, is there a cost allocation for part of the building utilities, things like that?
there is building utilities.
Okay.
Mainly for the,
Oh, it's at the end.
It's at the end.
Yes, okay. Seen these? Mark, would you mind forwarding the same email to Jamie?
what's your email?
JW Campbell Kids, KIDS at yahoo.com.
We're gonna do a budget workshop here in a little while.
I think you should.
Yeah, that'd be good. Just to dig into this a little bit deeper. Just like. When's the best time of the month to have the updated balances of the 897, 997, or what's it?
Typically, the beginning of the month is the best because
Okay.
the money's already been allocated out,
Okay,
so you wouldn't have, like, if in the middle of the month, there'd be nothing. So we get the money in at the very end of the month. And then the very first of the month, it goes out again.
so that's when it goes, okay, so. So where we, as of September, is the 997 fund still? Is it all still funding where it needs to go, or is we starting to build up a reserve there?
No, it's still all funding.
Okay. So
Um,
will that change about November or so, or?
No, I don't think so. I did a projection,
Okay,
like we talked about last meeting.
Yeah.
Or whenever that was. I can send that to you guys too.
no, that's helpful, trying to plan ahead a little bit.
I think the information Michelle sent us too on county median wage comparisons is very interesting. It shows median wages from 2023 to 2024
Oh.
and the percent change by county. And some of the feedback from a constituents is they're watching what surrounding counties are doing and comparing us. Well, they only went up this mill, or, you know.
But they didn't allow the fact they used cash. Some of them use cash.
Agreed, but also when you look at these percentages of Atchison at 3.9% and Donovan at 4.76. Jefferson 9.33.
What figure is that?
She just sent it to us.
Well, I don't see the percentages you're saying. Is that farther down here somewhere?
It's the third attachment.
Oh, okay.
Jefferson 9.33
What's that percentage?
of increase from
Oh,
on
increase.
median
Okay, I
wages.
found it now, yeah.
So it's It's just interesting. Another piece of information to take in. So which plan, Mark?
Yeah, we're not an outlier at all by any means.
No, not at all.
I think we need to visit with some departments on ones that we know is gonna have carryover. I think you should visit with all of your elected departments so that they have an idea of what you're wanting to do with the rollover. If they have any. So I sent you a file about the countywide sales tax. I'd like to explain it a little bit whenever you
Okay,
get it.
did you assume that? Okay.
Yeah. So the top half is kind of where I was figuring the 90%, 10% to get kind of caught back up on an equal percentage split after we funded the solid waste new structure construction. So about line 35 is where I kind of just kept the same document, but just built on it. So line 35 is where I kind of started our projections.
Okay.
So as of 9/4, this is our cash balances in each fund. Dispatch and solid waste. So then here's what I expect to get for September, October, November, December. Base it out by 45 and 55%. At the end of the year, solid waste will be negative 34,000. And dispatch will be positive 256,000. So I'm saying that we should probably look before we do the December transfer and reapprove an authorization
To even that out.
to even it out for
Yeah.
just December only. Because at the end of the day, dispatch doesn't expense out as rapidly as solid waste does. Solid waste has, their trash is exponentially went high. So it's about 50,000 every month that they pay for trash. We never spend $50,000 a month in joint communications.
Right.
Never. So it's still based on the budget, 45 is solid waste, 55% is dispatch. That is true, but it's how it's spent throughout the year changes. So you have a surplus in one and little or a deficit really in the other. So I think at the end of the year, our last transfer, we should reallocate it so that they're pretty close to even out.
Should we change the percentage for the next year? Even a
We
5%?
we should at the next organizational meeting.
Be like 60-40 or we don't do it backwards. The other way around.
Well, but
Like flip the 45-55 maybe.
so Connie and I had always thought that you should allocate it based on the budget. So we say we're gonna get this bucket. Well, solid waste makes up this percentage and dispatch makes up this percentage of the bucket, so you would think that allocation should be based on that. But
That's not how the cash flows.
that's not how cash flows. Dispatch spends more in the beginning of the year because they have the renewal agreements for T.S. Conard and all those other things. And solid waste doesn't have all those. Theirs is more steady throughout the year, so I'm not sure. We could do this every month and I guess reapprove a percentage of each quarter. I hate for you to reapprove a percentage every month. That would be a lot.
Or the percentage alone adjusted every quarter or so, just do one adjusting.
Yeah. See what it's-
Transfer.
Yeah, maybe look at it even, biannually.
Yeah.
Do it and then-
December thing or something.
yeah.
Yeah, that is really at the end of the day, the money's still there. It's gotta be put in the right bucket.
And this is a full year.
A full year on.
So 2024, a full year of the 3/4 sales tax
Right.
ends up netting 222,000.
Right.
429.46 more than our expenditures.
Right.
More than what we need.
Yeah. Well, and then it won't be as big a deal probably a year from now because you'll be able to build a balance in each one of those. And then
Right.
you'll have your
Right.
buffer. Really, it's just next year, probably making some adjustments.
Yeah, because as you see, we are getting about 180,000 every month.
Yeah.
So, even at the 45 and 55%, that's 81,000 to solid waste and 99,000 to dispatch. We never spend that per month in those funds.
Yeah.
We just don't. So
So the bottom line is that the 3/4 cent sales tax will support both operations.
it appears so based on this,
Based on what we're headed.
what we're getting now.
And it's also gonna be able to build up some reserves over time where we can, if they need a capital expense, that'd be the goal, maybe not for this next year, but going forward, if they did something.
I definitely like to build those reserves up because
Absolutely. Yep.
if we have an economy downturn and the sales tax goes off, then we're gonna be
Exactly.
really hurting. So we need to build that back up.
Thank you, Mark, for doing that.
Yeah,
Objection,
sure.
that's very
Sure,
helpful.
I think I'm gonna keep it up because it's nice just to see it every month, how it shook out.
Especially for the first couple of years and kind of see a trend.
Right, then it could even be. Once you start building this, it could be a basis for another sales tax. It's like you could just plug in a rough number to see how much you would net out. And that could even be a projection for the next 5 years. If you're talking about a sunset or something, 3 to 5 years, you could build these tabs out and say, oh, well, at the end of 3 years, if it keeps being steady like it is, you have X amount of dollars.
And so this is also the first year though, well. Okay, so solid waste increased 48,000
And that was for that new piece of equipment.
And-
Roughly.
and joint communications went down
It did.
40,300.
So we didn't start really getting money until like last July. June.
No, I thought we had it in.
Seemed to be a catch.
It started collections on April
was,
1st.
and so
But
maybe it was
first-
May, could be May or June. then.
In May, that's when we first started to get in the first.
Yeah. But this reflects this year, which has all been 100%.
Correct.
So I have a question though. Cause so the amount, so when we look at our 2025 budget for dispatch, we have $100,000 for 2025.
In the radio.
Sorry, computer services.
Oh.
So we went down from our 2024 current actual, but I just want to make sure and then computer services on your year-to-date report, we're at 136,655.32. So we're 150 over the 2024 budget. So I just want to make sure that we're budgeting enough, I guess, for 2025. Because that is more.
Well, and didn't Jack say there was a one-time?
Well, and so that was the thing, it was a transition year, so we transitioned. It's just something that stuck out by looking at our year to date and what's up and coming of a difference, so we might want to
Are
just
you in
make sure.
this joint communications part?
So, yeah, I'm in the 2025 budget on one side and then our year to date for 2024.
Right.
And when you look at it, we budgeted in 2024 91.3, but we're at 136,655.
Does that reflect merging the management supervision of that with the sheriff's department? Would there be any?
Well, it's a transition year. I
Yeah,
just want to
that's-
make sure we're covered in our 2025 for what we need to expect, like making sure,
Yeah, they may have
because
something-
even. Well. T.S. Connor just.
I thought they went on that central square, remember they had that. I thought there was one piece of software that they went on that had a one-time setup fee. To get it all merged over.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I'm not
That's
saying
right.
it's wrong,
There
I'm
was
just
some.
saying, it's something that
Good
we just
check.
need to make sure that we have
I
it.
think he's on it. There was some kind of emergence thing. The different computer upgrades and everything.
Yeah, it was the central square, they had an invoice for 83,000. The original invoice was 62, but there was. A 20% go live. Pro suite services fee of almost 21,000. And this is a brand new contract with Central Square.
And that won't repeat again next year.
Yeah.
That was so.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I know, the sheriff did some reallocation between some of these line items, like the computer services and maintenance.
So he has a Central Square annual subscription in the software.
We didn't have the software line item for 24.
Right. Which would make sense why, if computer services are. We added a different line item and we're putting it
Mhm.
in there, which,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah,
that makes me feel better because now we're covered when you look at both of those together. It was just.
This number could change once our transition with new software is completed. We will reduce the amount of servers maintained by T.S. Conrad.
I think seeing that software line makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Cause I was just looking at computer services versus this
Yeah.
year and I'm like, I don't think we got enough in there, but.
Well, I know he wasn't happy with the line item allocation, so that's why we added. Some,
So it's easier to understand what's being
Yes.
paid for.
right,
I
and now
like
that we have the line items. Or I mean, the notes out here. When the bills are paid. And we see that it's to Central Square, we can verify that that 70189 hits the right.
Software.
Right.
Yep. No, I like it.
And I still don't know the plan with the radios. We backed out the 313 and dropped it to 100.
I think they were putting together that plan to phase them in over time versus all at once, but
Yeah,
I don't know where that stands right now.
And I'm just gonna give you guys a quick update on the joint communications capital outlay line item of how much was in there. So you had an idea. $404,000. I thought I remember, Jack, when we went through the budget meeting, that was gonna be more than enough to do the upgrades.
Yeah, because he was looking at,
That's why we reduced that 313.
yep,
Because he wasn't for sure if there'd be something else that needed to be funded. Cause I don't think we have necessarily
Cushion.
yeah, or if another agency needed a battery or something.
And that's on the side of joint communications, so.
Right.
Sure, before there's an update on the radio plan. Would that be helpful?
Sorry, what was
It'd
that?
be helpful to have the sheriff come over and give us an update on the radio plan. Probably doesn't matter right now.
I don't have thought either way.
This has an impact on the budget numbers, which it probably doesn't at this point.
I know we went over it,
Yeah.
I think, and we
No, 'cause
reduced it.
He took 213,000 out.
Out of it,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think we're good. During the budget workshop and dig in deeper.
Yeah, do we have any unfinished business other than budget?
Not that I know of.
I don't think so.
County counselor updates?
The surveying of the road and bridge property is moving along. They've developed a concern or an issue regarding legal description of the property. I don't think it's it shouldn't be a big deal. I talked with Roger about it. If you wanted a full report on it, we could give you one, but it would be a lot of minutia over, it would be much ado about nothing. Because the ownership of the land does not appear to be in any way in doubt, and the city is contracted to give a warranty deed to the property anyway, so. If you're interested in the details, I could give it to you, but it would take a lot longer to explain it than I think it would be worthwhile to do. It involves a very, very small area of land. A sliver, if you will, and I don't think it's gonna cause any problems, and so I'm going to suggest a solution to that, but in any event, it should not slow down the surveying part, so hopefully we'll have that description by the end of the week, and we can move forward with closing before our deadline's coming up in the last week of the month. So,
The sliver of land along the boundary.
along the highway,
Okay,
yeah.
imagine that.
Well, the section line crosses, the highway crosses the section line. And there's a tiny bit south of the section line that one of the legal descriptions that was used didn't include that little sliver, but that's been the case for decades. And I'm not concerned about it. The Kansas Marketable Title Act should fix it, but if you're dealing with title companies, that they may raise an objection to it. And if they do, we'll have to do a quiet title case, which will cost us $500. But it shouldn't. I just can't fathom that there would be anybody that would show up and say, I have a 1/16th interest in this because my great grandparents didn't deed away the property. And we'd actually have to do more research to determine whether there would be anybody that could possibly make that claim, but I really doubt it. But it shouldn't cause any problems with the surveying, and we should have a warranty deed anyway, so. I guess the city might want to make a determination as to whether they wanted to do a quiet title before signing a warranty deed, but yeah. We're moving along on the tax sale with getting service and process, and we're having several properties that are coming off, so.
That's the goal.
That is the goal.
Okay, any need for executive sessions? I've not been made aware of any. Approval of expenses. Do I have a motion to approve this week's expenses?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
This is 3-0. All right, so we will recess into budget workshop and then come back for public comment and adjournment at 1. Sound like a plan?
Right.
Okay, I look for a motion to recess into budget workshop.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. Volume good.
Mhm.
Yep, okay, perfect. We are back in open session. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion to adjourn at 1:10.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.